Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Crypto News. You guys probably know that I watch the internet, specifically crypto news, a lot of hours every single day. And one of the things I definitely noticed in the last couple of days is that there's a lot of people against you. A lot of people are rooting for everything that we're standing for here to crumble down, to fall. And there's a lot of big guys, big players in the game who are warning us and saying that we should get out now that we still can. And they're telling us about all these dark secrets or kind of the scary parts that may break everything down. And again, what I'm talking about here, I'm going to completely cover this whole video, so stay tuned and keep watching. But I'm also giving away 100 XRP. And if you're wondering how that works, we have a like goal, for example, 1,500 likes. And if we hit that, we just go to the comment section and pick one of the commenters and they win 100 XRP. Or we split it over 4 people, it just depends. But all you have to do to enter is make sure you press the like button, make sure you are subscribed, and make sure you comment something down below. And also guys, check out the Discord link in the description because we'll be announcing the giveaway winners from now on in this little tab. Having said that, let's head over into this video, and I want to start it off here with some kind of disturbing news, which is some billionaires who are talking bad about our crypto. Now, keep in mind that this is not my own opinion, as I am very bullish on crypto. I just want to show you guys what these guys have said and what they are warning us about. Bitcoin will eventually disappoint the holder, warns billionaire Dalio, and everything that he comes down to is if Bitcoin became a really big thing, states would use it or use all their means to outlaw it, which is a very interesting statement. Transactions with him or her would simply prohibit them, and in the past they have done it once with gold, added Dalio. And I'm not going to say that that's a lie, because to a certain degree that's definitely the truth. And if we go on a little bit, from the technological point of view, it is not possible to ban the functioning of Bitcoin, which is true, as its operation is ensured by any central authority, but for many, especially institutional investors, the crypto would suddenly cease to exist. So this one is a difficult one to kind of grasp, as basically what he's saying is a government can't stop Bitcoin from functioning completely, which is to a certain degree true, but not completely true, as we've already seen over in China this. Breaking Bitcoin miners in China's Yunnan province cut off from electricity supply, which is a little bit of a sign, and since 50% or more of the whole supply or whole mining power is in China, or actually ruled by just 4 entities in China, and about, I don't know, maybe 60 to 80% is held in China for sure, it is possible for the government to really completely seize the network. Because theoretically speaking, if they cut enough, if they use their influences to either cut off a lot of electricity or influence the companies over there, they can control it to a certain degree, right? But that's just one part. In the broader sense, it's really not that possible. And once more, guys, don't think this is a bearish thing on crypto, right? Just wait for the end. It's all going to be becoming quite a lot more gloomy. But just see what he's warning us of, and we'll kind of counter everything as we go. All right, so once more, I'm very bullish. Don't get me wrong. Don't get this whole video wrong. I already see a lot of comments in my head. So yeah, it's also not necessarily something bad for institutional investors, as there are a ton of other crypto, like for example XRP, that we're generally really bullish about and that a lot of these institutional investors have yet to pick up. If we start to think about it, institutional investors are just at step 1 of the bigger path towards crypto adoption. As we've seen with Grayscale right now, Bitcoin is by far with huge margins the number 1 that institutions are going for. But I think a huge part of that is because the SEC has only allowed Ethereum and Bitcoin, and because for a big part as well, these altcoins are just not that well known. But if Bitcoin were to be banned, it's not like crypto would die out itself. It may just be so that that Bitcoin, that one specifically, is not going to be supported as much anymore. Dalio, on the other hand, believes the digitized currencies, i.e. standard currencies such as the dollar, yuan, or euro, converted into a purely virtual form, are a great boom, which some central banks are already working on, as we've seen before. So he's basically a fan of CBDCs and a crypto kind of bear. He's just warning everybody that Bitcoin will eventually hurt your wallet. But let's move on though. How the China-US capital war, a billionaire warns of, could benefit Bitcoin. So We all know, and again, this is Ray Dalio again, on sound money concerns, a capital war could damage the dollar. He's a very well-known guy right now for having a lot of outspoken statements, I guess, or very heavy statements, so to speak. And I've looked into this one for a little second. He's basically saying the ongoing tensions between the US and China could soon erupt in a capital war. That's a trade war where there's a technology war, yada, 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 yada. He's basically calling a full freaking, battle to erupt here on a technological standpoint. And I don't really think that there's, first of all, any reason to really assume that that's going to be happening here. And even if it does happen, I kind of feel like the US is still a couple of steps ahead. Even though China is quicker with a lot of this technology, it doesn't mean they do it really properly. And even the CBDC that they built is not really cryptocurrency or really blockchain technology at all. It's just an online or digital yuan, but it's really not that good in a couple of ways. So with that in mind, I first of all don't really think it's going to be coming. I sometimes theorize about it, but if push hits the shove, or if it really hits the fan, whatever the saying for that is in English, I don't know. I don't really think it's going to get there. And even if it does, I think the US would be fine. Let's see. Billionaire Investor warns Bitcoin is a pyramid scheme. A highly respected value investor, Howard Marks, has warned his clients against investing in fad that is digital currencies, which is just once more another crazy statement. In my view, digital currencies are nothing but an unfounded fad, or perhaps even a pyramid scheme based on a willingness to ascribe value to something that is little or none beyond what people will pay for it, which is a lot of things. I mean, what he's saying right now is a pretty stupid statement, in my opinion, to the furthest extent, because you can literally call 99% of the things a bubble if you start to think about it or relate it to this idea. If you think about it, the whole internet, like 65 more percent of the internet is really dumb and should not be invested in. Then a lot of things which are internet based should be kind of, just written off. And especially things like gold should be written off to the fullest extent. You might say, okay, but Dusty, a barter system where, okay, gold is something which is scarce, so people would want it. What's gold useful for? For jewelry? That's it. It's just purely, I would say, for jewelry and for the holding purposes, but maybe some sort of science or, some sort of like, maybe if you're into like a certain craft for your watch or something like that, I could still see maybe, if you're a scientist or an engineer and you're like, well, gold can be used for this, like a certain conductor-ish thing, which may use gold. But for general purposes, gold is not that useful. And it's mostly determined, the price is once more, mostly determined by the fact that it's just a good store of value. But that's really what the crazy guy gives to it. And the same kind of goes for fiat. Fiat is really dumb if you start to think about how it really works, because all you're doing is trusting the government. And as we've seen before, the government is not as trustworthy with a couple of things, at least not as much as we put into it. But I'll talk about that a little bit more later. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio, and again, he's coming back a couple of times because I'm trying to prove a point, warns that the US is in a period of great risk and says the most important thing investors can do is diversify. So, billionaire investor Ray Dalio told Bloomberg that the US is in a period of great risk because of rising deficits and the uncertainty around the upcoming US election. Which, again, I would be on the same note with, right? This kind of comes down to this one once more, where people trust in a system, people think everything is all right, yet they kind of don't grasp the underlying bad sides of it, if you guys get me. Like, they don't really want to look at the bad sides of their economy or the bad sides of the things that are going on around them. They just briefly, look at all the news and they're like, yeah, this is the way it's going. It's all going well. We all know that the election was a shizzle show. I don't want to say any curse-ish words on the channel. I have no idea if my channel is kid-friendly or not. I mean, I have a 0% 18- audience, yet I don't ever curse in a video. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So I'm kind of wondering if they consider it kid-friendly, or since we're talking so much about freaking trades and all this billionaire warning people, they're like, oh, no, this is not kid-friendly. I don't know how that works. The most important thing investors can do to manage this risk is to diversify their portfolios by asset class, country, and currency, he said. Diversification is a wonderful, mechanical, good way to reduce risk without reducing expected return, the founder of Bridgewater Associates added. This is true. By the way, you're actually sometimes helping your expected return by diversifying whilst reducing risk. That's definitely possible. However, the bigger point kind of lies there, though, that he's saying that politics play a very big role, and they have extreme risks attached to them. And I would say if you're already convinced that that is the case, then logically, in my opinion, you would, first of all, diversify, but one of those diversifications should be crypto, right? Because a lot of us have speculated that crypto is a hedge against inflation or a hedge against the financial system, or at least kind of on par with gold, which has been proven to be great in financial crises, or kind of against fiat. And I would also say, and I would like to risk that great risk because of uncertainty in the US, which means fiat going down, would also be a positive thing for crypto. I think that's really like the same line. At least that's my personal idea to it, though. Billionaire boss of world's largest hedge fund warns Bitcoin will be outlawed. It's the same guy, but he has another quote here, which I just said before, that it's going to be outlawed. And that one I want to dive a little bit deeper into because Coinbase has actually posted something. Coinbase CEO says US Treasury may rush out rules on private crypto wallets. And that's something that I'm kind of afraid for, though, myself. Once more, I don't really think this is a big issue and this will break crypto or even hurt us in the least. But it's something that I personally do not like about what type of rules could be set in place. Even though I still think rules like this will only make people more bullish on crypto because it will notify them that, well, these rules that are being made by the government, that's just BS. We don't like that. We don't want that. We want to be, yada, yada, yada. And the only problem comes that some of these exchanges in the US specifically, they have to abide by all these SEC rules, which is very annoying since in Europe, as of this point and in a lot of other places, it's just a lot simpler. Exchanges can just operate without needing to say anything, it kind of feels like. In the US, you have all these rules, which are ultimately for consumer safety, yes, but it also has a couple of bad sides. Like last week, we heard rumors that the US Treasury and Secretary Mnuchin, I don't know, we're planning to rush out some new regulation. I think it's Mnuchin, but you guys keep, correcting me in the comment section. So every time I try something differently, and I just check what you guys like. Mnuchin, we're going to go for today. We're planning to rush out some new regulation regarding self-hosted crypto wallets before the end of his term. I'm concerned that this would have unintended side effects and wanted to share those concerns, which is, first of all, one of the best things that they have ever done. I mean, I really dislike Coinbase to the fullest, but this is a pretty nice warning. Self-hosted crypto wallets, also known as non-custodial wallets or self-custody wallets, allow crypto asset holders to protect and house their crypto independently and without the oversight of a custodian such as Coinbase. So what this basically means is every wallet that you've ever gotten on your own, so for example, if you use Exodus or you have a wallet that's not an official custodian, the government is going to want that verification that is your wallet. Now, ultimately, there's nothing that really changes that much, because if you're just holding crypto like a normal person and you can just verify to the exchange that is your wallet and you don't really plan to do anything sketchy with it, it doesn't really matter. The only problem comes if you're not that, good of a guy and you want to do some sketchy stuff and you want to, maybe pull somebody's freaking Coinbase account empty. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because you're going to have to verify that you're that person, which is a little bit strange. I don't know the full details of the whole situation anyway, so don't think this is like financial advisor official facts objectively. I'm just thinking here with you guys as well with the information that is given, and I've read some stuff about it, but I don't know the ins and outs. I'm just saying that. Once more, guys, this is a pretty big thing as well, that the idea that Bitcoin in comparison to XRP can just be caught off if some guys don't like it anymore, that kind of haunts me. It kind of haunts me sometimes. Worried Bitcoin bull Michael Novogratz warned over speculative crypto frenzy. This one I wanted to get into here briefly because I actually think that speculative frenzy was there in 2017, yet this time around, the 2020 run, we're not really actively seeing it just quite yet. So right in 2017, what we saw was that prices kept going up crazy, and we don't really know up till what point institutions were buying, but this last whole week here, I'm assuming that most of this, because of the candle afterwards, was just retail buying the tip. And according to our speculation, and by the way, this is just the 2017 run plaqued on top of this one. So it's just a bars pattern, which you can do like this. And you take this data frame and you just put it on top of there. This has shown us as well that, if we paste that on top and kind of adjust it accordingly, we can really be going and seeing some crazy numbers for Bitcoin, theoretically speaking, which after XRP could follow a little bit. However, also the fact that institutions right now must be buying in like heavily up to like a certain point, like maybe like somewhere around here, before retail is going to be buying this tip. I'm personally thinking right around this area to the 1.618 fib extension level is where institutions are going to be buying in heavily, and after that, retail is going to FOMO in. But I don't really think retail FOMO has really gone up so much quite yet. We just saw yesterday, I believe, or the day before, when Bitcoin hit its all-time high, that some guys were getting into it, but it really wasn't that heavy just quite yet, at least not if we compare it to what happened in 2017. It may have gotten trending on Twitter for a little bit, but since it didn't break its all-time high everywhere and it didn't break 20,000, it didn't really get the full-on frenzy, which might come though if we do hit 20,000, but especially if we hit 30,000. And then a couple of cool things here, lending the way on global crypto and fintech sustainability. This is just a cool article that Ripple has posted up once more. They post a lot of cool articles, which I like to read, but on a different end, a lot of these articles are just way too much BS, so to speak. Like, this last part was the coolest about the whole article, but I just spent like 10 minutes trying to get all this information in me to tell it to you guys. But after a while, I noticed, they're talking about carbon emissions, and most guys I've talked to in the crypto space here, they really don't care. So I was like, why would I even bother? And I just kind of quit and glanced through it and read the bottom here, which was kind of interesting. Talks a little bit about ODL. Let me quickly see that then. The XRP Ledger's native digital asset XRP was specifically chosen to power RippleNet's ODL, which is again the service that uses XRP, service for its immutable green aspects and its payment scalability, with independent researchers suggesting that XRP transactions could grow by more than 1,000% by 2025. This has massive implications for energy savings and the carbon footprint reduction of blockchain-driven finance. Pretty cool. Bitcoin suddenly crashes below 19K after all-time high sparks wild volatility. I've said it a couple of times before, but if you are planning to hold crypto for the longer term and you plan to really make a lot of money with that, you should also be prepared for some volatility. Because in a certain way, all right, if you know portfolio theory, if you've ever had finance, the theories that we mentioned here before about my voice here is kind of, putting me down. I have to drink freaking water. By the way, this is a good time for you to take a water break. If you're watching this right now, go grab some, go drink some, all right? Every time I say that, people say, no, I'm not gonna. People just say, no, I'm not gonna do that because you told me. I just want to be friendly, man. There's no harm intended. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I just wanted to remind you that you should be, hydrating yourself well enough. So one of these said, again, you can get your return high. Where was it now? You could get your return higher while diversifying, something like that. It was in the article that talked about diversifying. Yeah, I probably won't be able to find it now that I'm talking as well. I'm talking and reading, and here it was. Diversification is a wonderful mechanical good way to reduce risk without reducing expected return. Again, you can increase it sometimes by diversifying. Most of the time, actually, you can get your expected return higher and your volatility/risk lower, because that's one thing that people kind of forget, that volatility and risk are kind of the same thing, all right? They're actually on the same par, and depending on what finance course you're taking, volatility and risk may even be considered the exact same thing or a square of one another. It kind of depends, though. I've seen a couple of different theories on that in my years now. So one thing that I can go and make this a little bit more difficult, but let's just keep it in layman's terms for the people that don't like mathematics or formulas and finance in that sense. So with that in the back of my head, I'm sometimes thinking as well that this is only just a good thing, right? I mean, why would this be bad? Are you guys trying to get what I'm trying to say here? But like, where is the bad side to this? Like, we're seeing volatility and prices fall down. I don't really still see any way in which that would be considered a stupid thing or a negative thing. We all know about crypto. We all know that it has downfalls. So why then be shocked once it falls down? Bitcoin suddenly crashes. Oh no! Should I be selling? Should I be selling? Yeah, it's always that thing though. So yeah, it's always the same way. I don't really think it's crazy either. And by the way, check out Unstoppable Domains. A link is in the description below. I sometimes forget to mention this thing, but I think it's the future, man. I still think so. I'm crazy excited about it. I'm just actually on the side here looking up a couple of formulas which I wanted to share here. So I believe it is, well, let's go for this one right here. For example, can I push it in? This, for example, is the the risk of a portfolio, right? And again, I didn't want to make it too difficult. I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Let's see here, where W1 is proportion of the portfolio invested in asset 1. W2 is the proportion of portfolio invested in asset 2. Sigma 1 is the asset 1 standard deviation of returns. Sigma 2 is asset 2 standard deviation of returns. And the correlation coefficient between the return of asset 1 and asset 2 is what you also have to put in. And that's how you get the risk of a portfolio. And I kind of wanted to put that in here. I kind of wanted to give you guys my little finance 1 in college tutorial. That I was like, you know what, let's go for regression lines and stuff too, because that's what I personally love. But this, by the way, is the I don't even know what this is called officially. Portfolio theory, I believe, is the official. It says it right here. Modern portfolio theory. This is the one I was just talking about here, where you have your risk and your expected return, just like this, set it up against each other. In general, it is true that the more risk you take, or the more volatility, so to speak, the higher your expected return. However, sometimes you're on a point where you're just not efficient, and you can actually get a lower risk while still getting a higher expected return by diversifying. And that's actually what this whole formula kind of plays a role for, to see it a little bit more properly. But why am I bothering myself here? I'm trying to, I'm trying to overkill here, but not preparing and trying to lecture people I shouldn't do with things like that. I'm going to make a fool out of myself because I'm going to say something that's wrong. So I better just quit right now and quit while I'm still ahead. And I've told you guys about these warnings. Ultimately, though, these warnings I don't really care about, right? Things are looking juicy, and I'm pretty damn excited. I'm excited for what is going to be coming, guys. So let's get rich together, baby. Not financial advice, by the way. None of this was financial advice. Just entertainment purposes only.